Cześć, witam was w kolejnym odcinku, być może ostatnim. Jesteśmy w królestwie Heli. Bogini Heli. Być może to już koniec naszej przygody. Więc postanowiłem to nagrać. Zobaczmy, co się stanie.
Look at you. Running forward, moving backwards to wallow in your miserable past. You're making a mistake searching for Dillian. The same mistake that killed him in the first place. I'm trying to save you from yourself. You still believe it is a lie? The plague of darkness, the butchering of Dillian by the Northmen. You saw it yourself.
You told everyone I was cursed. They believed you. I believed you.
Tell me, Senua, where is Dillian's soul if the darkness is a lie? How you saved him?
He's here. I know he's here. Dillian, I know you're here. Hold on. I'll find you. Behind you. Dillian! Where is he? You're trying to trick me again with your lies. I know he's here. You took him from me. You have him.
Dillian is gone. Dillian is dead. Let him go now.
Or what? What can he do to me that you haven't already?
Betrayed your own
Fight
father.
me.
You betrayed
Come on.
the gods in search of Dillian, in search of love. Look where that's got you.
Watch out.
Let go of the battle. Let go of redemption. Let go of Dillian. Don't let your darkness hurt anyone else.
Behind you. Be careful, Senua.
Let go of your battle. You don't have to fight anymore.
You're alive. And there's no doubt. Then you never took him from me, did you? And I can't save Darian. Is that what you want me to believe? After all you've done to me? And to him? You're not a liar, but you're a liar! You crawled into me to confuse me and deceive me. But I know it. I know you have him. I'll give you my life. That's what you want, isn't it? My soul. Take it. I'll be a slave for you. I'll fight with you at Ragnarok. If you release it.
because I've got nothing left. No fear. No hate. No quest. Nothing. You will have no power over me.
I learned the hard way to not be afraid of death, Senua. Because a life without loss is one without love. You turn your back on death, and all you can see is the shadow that it casts. The longer you hide from it, the longer the shadow grows until all you can see is darkness. When our time comes, we must look death in the eye and embrace it as a friend. Only then can we let go of our fear. And emerge from our darkness.
Never forget what it is like to see the world as a child, Senua. Every autumn leaf is like a work of art. Every rolling cloud a moving picture. Every day a new story. We too emerge from this magic, like a wave from the ocean, only to return to the sea. Do not mourn the waves, the leaves and the clouds. Even in darkness, the wonder and the beauty of this world never leaves us. It is always there. waiting to be seen again. This is where my story once began. And so it has to end here. Because I cannot see further than this.
Follow us. We have another story to tell.
My friend, go with her. This now will be your story to witness. Goodbye.
I know it's hard to tell how mixed up you feel. Hoping what you need is behind every door.
I mamy napisy końcowe w tej grze. I tak oglądałem tę końcówkę i pomyślałem sobie, że to nie jest gra dla każdego. To nie jest taka typowa gra, takie Diablo, nie wiem, Call of Duty. Ta gra podchodzi pod sztukę i nie dziwię się teraz, że kiedyś w radiu słyszałem wykładowcę na kierunku, na którym uczy się o grach. Nie wiem, jak dokładnie on się nazywa, ktoś mi powiedział, że to jest przykład świetnej gry. I wtedy pomyślałem sobie, kurczę, mam tą grę, muszę ją przejść. To jest przykład świetnej gry. No, ale w czasie gry, jak grałem, to stwierdziłem, że to jest taka świetna gra, gdzie masz 4 rodzaje przeciwników, nie masz żadnego ekwipunku, nic nie zbierasz za bardzo, jest tylko właściwie opowiadana historia i do tego są dodane czasem przerywniki walki. Jako przerywnik z tych historii to jest parę razy pobijesz się na zasadzie blok, unik, atak silny, mocny. No i to skupienie, które można uruchomić i zwolnić tempo wtedy. I co tam jeszcze? No te zagadki, zagadki są ciekawe. Ciekawy jest sposób jakby tych zagadek, aczkolwiek może to z czasem w niektórych momentach irytować. Był taki poziom, gdzie w ciemności po głosie trzeba było iść i odszukać wyjście. Po 10 minutach było to już irytujące, ale ogólnie ciekawy sposób, żeby te zagadki przeprowadzić. Tak samo jak łączyć te jakieś pale, albo kijki, nie wiem, odbicie w wodzie w ten symbol, który otwiera potem drzwi. Cały czas gdzieś z tyłu głowy było to, że jeżeli ta zaraza na ręce dojdzie do głowy, to kończysz grę i musisz iść wszystko od nowa. To się zmieniało. Raz było bliżej głowy, potem nagle niżej głowy. To był niby poziom łatwy, ale no, gdybym ja gdzieś tam przez przypadek nie radził sobie z wrogami i ginął 50 razy i nagle miał iść od nowa, no to słabo by to było. Ciężko. Ale muzyka, historia i właściwie to powinno się oglądać jako film. Cała gra nie jest dość długa, bo myślę, że około 5 godzin można ją przejść. Jak ktoś wie, gdzie są zagadki, bo jeżeli ktoś nie wie, gdzie są zagadki, znaczy gdzie są ukryte te symbole i w jaki sposób je odnaleźć, to na tych symbolach się traci kolejne, myślę, 5 godzin, żeby to czasami znaleźć. Ja w tej krainie iluzji to po prostu zrezygnowałem, ale też ciekawa mechanika, że przez drzwi jak patrzysz, to widzisz coś innego, jak przejdziesz z jednej strony, z drugiej strony. Ciekawa mechanika, ale potrafiła mnie po prostu zniechęcić do gry, gdzie grałem w nią poprzedni raz 2 lata temu, zacząłem w nią grać, bo była w jakiejś promocji i wtedy kupiłem, a po 2 latach do niej wróciłem. Teraz jest taki czas, kiedy można, nie ma żadnych nowych gier. Dopiero będzie ta 17 lipca nowa o samuraju i mówię, to nie jest gra dla każdego. Trzeba mieć cierpliwość, jakby chcieć poznać tą... No fajnie są te opowieści o tej mitologii nordyckiej i myślę, że mimo, że zagrałem pewnie z 10 gier o tej tematyce, nadal do końca nie znam tej mitologii nordyckiej. Także ja ze swojej strony myślę, że dałbym 6 na 10 punktów. Walka super wygląda, tylko że no jest taka właściwie jako dodatek. No, tutaj nie ma żadnych, nie zmieniamy mieczy, nie zmieniamy zbroi, to co chciałoby się zrobić, bo głównie jest to nastawione na przedstawienie historii tej Senuły, która próbuje uratować ukochanego Diliona i go potem w kilku miejscach szuka. No ale dobra, mamy to za sobą, aczkolwiek nie wiem, czy jak wyjdzie, a już była premiera, była zapowiedź na PS5 kolejnej części, to raczej nie na premierę, a chyba, że tam coś zmienią i faktycznie jakieś będzie coś zmienionego. Jakieś, nie wiem, właśnie to, o czym mówiłem, będzie więcej wrogów, będziemy coś zmieniać u siebie w ekwipunku, ale raczej będzie to nastawione znowu na historię. I ma być właśnie na PS5. A póki co zobaczymy teraz, co będzie. No na pewno nie będzie nowa gra plus. Tylko jest rozpocznij nową grę. Film dokumentalny Hellblade.
Stormy seas and lost
Zobaczmy kawałeczek.
She's dreamt of this before.
They say dreams are visions of our memories, thoughts and fears, as seen by our inner eye.
Taki trailer.
What if each one of us is always dreaming, even when awake? And we only see what our inner eye creates for us. Is this what hell is? A world shaped by Senua's nightmares. Maybe that's why people fear seeing the world through her eyes. Because if you believe that Senua's reality is twisted, you must accept that yours might be too.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is a video game about Senua, a Celtic warrior on a vision quest into Viking territory. But what sets our hero Senua apart is that she suffers from severe psychotic mental illness.
He knows she's getting closer. He can feel her coming closer. She's getting closer. They're watching. They're watching.
The original idea for Hellblade was to create a classic hero's journey, a journey of suffering, but one where the fantasy world is not another planet or alternate universe, but a world that is constructed in Senua's mind. But to do so would mean putting psychotic mental illness at the center of the experience, a subject that is still considered taboo, and a challenge that was both terrifying and exciting in equal measure. In Hellblade, the starting point was a newly discovered Celtic goddess called Senua in Ashwell, Hertfordshire. When first discovered, her name was thought to be Senua, a name which I liked and kept. I wondered if Senua might have been a Celtic warrior like Boudica, who stood up to the Romans. While the Romans had conquered all of Europe, there was a group of Celts up in the furthest reaches of the Roman Empire that could not be conquered, the Picts. And so the Romans built a wall, called Hadrian's Wall, that spans across Britain from sea to sea to keep the Pictish barbarians at bay. The Picts were known for their war paint, painted on with woad, and their matted hair clumped with lime. And so Senua would be a barbarian Pict in this image.
What's your name?
Senua.
I haven't seen you before.
I don't live home much.
Oh, Zenua's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait.
Orkney is off the coast of Scotland and was inhabited by the Picts, steeped in history and mystery, and so I made Orkney Senua's home and set the stage for a crisis. In the late 8th century, the first Vikings landed on the Orkney Islands. The population of the Picts crashed thereafter, replaced by the Norsemen of the 9th century. Were they wiped out? We don't know for sure, but it would seem likely given the reputation of the Vikings. The Northmen's brutality is legendary. High-ranking leaders and chieftains of the tribes they conquered were often offered as sacrifice to their gods. The most brutal of these sacrifices was known as the Blood Eagle. I imagine Senua as a young female warrior who returns home from exile to find her partner, Dillion, brutally sacrificed to a Norse god by these hellish warriors from a faraway land. I imagine the horror of this moment and how it would have dragged her deep into mental torment.
No!
I came to learn that the Celts had a sophisticated and nuanced perspective on the nature of mental disorder. One term they used was gelt. A gelt is a man or woman who has been driven mad by a curse, battle trauma, or grief. The gelt would take to a life in the woods in search of penance, punishment, and purgation. And so Senua became a gelt, cursed by darkness, looking for redemption in the wilds. Another word the Celts used in reference to mental disorders was truth, meaning fool, or liar, one who utters the words of God. They tell of the mad sinner who flees battle into exile and takes on a beastly nature, growing feathers on his body. The character called Truth in Hellblade is based on a little-known person called Findan, an 8th century Irish Celt who was captured and enslaved by the Vikings, but eventually escaped to Orkney where he became a monk.
I will tell you my stories of hell, if I may walk with you.
Upon meeting Senua, it would be his stories that fuel her quest deep into their world of gods.
The Northmen say the world will come to an end. The sun will grow black, the earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and people everywhere. Senua, prepare yourself for Ragnarok, for it is nigh.
So the stage was set for a new adventure, a journey into the Norse underworld called Hell, a vision quest fueled by madness and myth, a fantasy that was created by Senua's own mind, and one that we would experience through her eyes.
This is your mission. This is your quest. There is nothing else left.
To make a game about a warrior with psychotic mental illness as its central theme was fraught with danger. Mental illness, such as psychosis, is still taboo and rarely acknowledged in a century of cinema, never mind the new medium of games. Where it does feature, it often conflates psychosis and psychopathy associated with a lack of empathy. It is unfortunate that these two words sound so similar that they are used interchangeably in media. I must admit that I didn't have to look very far to discover my own ignorance of the subject. So we reached out to Paul Fletcher, psychiatrist and professor of health neuroscience at University of Cambridge.
Psychosis is a descriptive term, and it refers to having a loss of contact with objective reality. So it's characterized by two main sets of symptoms. One of them is hallucinations, where somebody experiences perceptions when there is no actual objective thing out there to perceive.
Who are you?
And the other is delusions, where somebody comes to very often bizarre, unpleasant, frightening beliefs when there's no good evidence in favor of them.
There's no doubt about it. The source of the darkness is in Helheim, and the goddess Hela holds his soul there.
We reached out to Welcome, a biomedical research charity that spends billions on research and awareness programs aimed at improving health.
Mental health hasn't always been presented in the media in a way that is particularly helpful. It can be challenging to engage people with the subject matter, and there are a lot of preconceived ideas about mental health, and particularly schizophrenia and psychosis. So we hope our support allows the team to continue to collaborate with Paul Fletcher and with those who have experience of psychosis to create a game that provides a fresh perspective on the condition and allows audiences to engage with it in a way that just wouldn't be possible in any other medium.
What started out as a brief consultation convinced me that we were only scratching the surface of an immensely deep and interesting subject that could enrich and change the very nature of the game.
That's cool. Thanks so much for coming. Pleasure. Thanks. It's really interesting for me. I'd love to be involved. I think it's fascinating.
Our understanding of psychosis is still very much a mystery, and ways of treating it are still primitive compared to physical illness. After all, it is easy to see the pain and suffering caused by physical diseases or physical trauma. It is not so easy to see the mental suffering and trauma of severe mental illness. But what if we could find a way to see it? Games are capable of drawing you in for hours on end, playing the role of a character who is different from you, experiencing their perspective, and actively involving you in a world that functions with a different set of rules. If we were to represent Senua psychosis, we would have to simulate voice hearing, a common attribute. But how can we simulate something we have no first-hand experience of? Professor Charles Fernyhough, a leading expert in voice hearing from Durham University, offered his help.
Hearing voices is an experience that is usually associated with severe mental illness, and crucially we know that hearing voices is a part of ordinary life for many people who don't meet the criteria for mental illness.
Yeah. Oh, that's not him in real life.
We know voices vary according to where they appear in space. Voices can appear far away in the distance, they can appear right there in your ear, they can seem to be coming from inside your head.
Based on the information Professor Fernyhough provided, I put together a sound brief and invited some actors to the studio. We recorded the actors using a binaural microphone, which records the 3D spatial position of sound, replicating the way sound is heard by human ears. It gives you an incredible sense that the person you are listening to is right there beside you. Rachel Waddingham from the Voice Collective came to our studio with 2 young voice hearers to speak to our team. We talked at length about their experiences, and they listened to our tests, giving us feedback on how we could improve on it.
Everyone hates her. She's cursed.
It's very hard to represent what this experience is like, partly because it's such a personal, intense, emotional experience. It's testament to how Ninja Theory have been listening to what the researchers are saying, but also, crucially, listening to the experts by experience. What they've come up with is so compelling. It's by far the best representation I've heard of what these experiences are like.
Other common attributes of psychosis are visions and flashbacks. We met with Recovery College East, who work with and care for people recovering from severe mental disorders. A group of service users gave us their first-hand account of what they experience.
Sometimes when the visions or what we're seeing is too much, we become small until eventually anything.
The people we spoke to, the stories they told, were fascinating, harrowing and mind-boggling. The reality of what people experienced was vivid, far exceeding what I could possibly have imagined. We went away itching to represent some of these visions and flashbacks in the game.
Hands will know my heart is so, love is so far away. Don't you know how I wanna feel deeper? I could never know how you grow, all these days are killing me. Now I see deep in me insanity does unfold. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper. Hands will know my heart is so, love is so far away. Don't you know how I wanna feel deeper? just wanna feel deeper, deeper. I just wanna feel deeper, deeper.
To refine our work, we continue to hold meetings with Recovery College East over the course of a year and a half, showing them what we had achieved so far and refining the in-game representations based on their feedback. With their help, flashbacks, visions and changes in perception were woven into the story and gameplay of Senua.
The students that are involved in this project are incredibly excited about being involved. They have described the experience as being important because it values their lived experience and shows that despite what we have been through, all of that experience becomes valid, that actually it's something that we should all be talking about.
The experiences described range from beautiful to frightening beyond comprehension. I heard of a girl who has to...
Zrobiłem cięcie, bo stwierdziłem, że no, tak jak ktoś będzie chciał sobie zobaczyć, to sobie zobaczy. Ja tego nie będę pewnie drugi raz oglądał, ale fajnie pokazane jest właśnie, jak ta gra była stworzona i że to nie jest taka zwykła gra, tylko właściwie sztuka. I bardzo się zagłębili w całą tą psychiczną część postaci naszej, tej Senui. Trochę widzieliśmy, jak to wygląda, nie wiem, jak to długo trwa, ale tutaj w filmie dokumentalnym można sobie to zobaczyć. No a ja zapraszam Was na kolejną grę, którą będziemy tutaj na kanale przechodzić. Tymczasem